in seemingly really good condition. My C6 Grand Sport was a beast. Honestly, it was one of the best cars that I had ever driven, but it wasn't without its issues. It looked so good, it pulled so hard, it sounded like an animal, but there were a few things that I needed to address immediately in order to get it to that level where I was actually truly happy with it. Right off the bat, I could tell that my C6 suffered from the notorious noisy target top squeak. Although annoying, and it seems like there isn't a permanent fix necessarily, I think we have a solution that'll get us by at least temporarily. Check out my C6 Corvette playlist to find out what that solution was. Secondly, my cup holder cover, the one that pulls out and covers your cup holes, it melts in the sun. Or in the heat, actually. Just a little bit of heat, to be honest. And I'm talking seriously melts. Melts to the point where when you touch it, it leaves fingerprints in it. I made a short about it recently as one of the stupid things about the C6 Corvette, and a lot of people felt my pain and understood what I was talking about. Some people thought it was a stupid complaint, but for me, at a car the level of a 3LT Grand Sport, it shouldn't happen. I mean, plastic pieces melting in a car. I mean, the windows are tinted to 15%. I don't park in direct sunlight. And it wasn't even that hot the particular day that I made the short. So I don't know what the deal is there, and I'm not sure that we can fix it. Anything beyond, darkening the window tint. And I do put a sun visor, a sunshade up in the windshield too from time to time. So I don't know, that's just a weird thing. The third issue on the C6 Corvette is that there seems to be a little bit of a ticking noise coming from the top side of the engine, particularly on the passenger side. I opened up the valve covers to see what I could see and hear what I could hear. Nothing stood out glaringly in the moment. I did mention in I regret buying my C6 Corvette video that literally right after purchasing this car, I saw 3 or 4 people posting that they had catastrophic lifter failure in their low mile LS3s. That made me a little bit uneasy and was one of the regrets I mentioned in that video. Some people just didn't get it. A lot of people are LS fanboys, of course. They're like, oh, the LS3 is bulletproof. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know. I'm well aware of the reputation of the LS3 and how reliable and durable they are and the reputation that they've built over the years. And I love an LS3. Don't get me wrong. My point in that video was that I see these catastrophic failures happening in an engine that is supposed to be bulletproof. And then I get the car home and get it in the garage and start doing some inspections on it, and there seems to be a tick coming from an area that might be indicative of a failing lifter. So imagine coming from that angle, right? That was the point that I was trying to make in that video. It went over some people's heads, but nonetheless, it's an issue that's gonna have to be addressed. Another issue that needed to be addressed immediately was that there was a chirping noise coming from the belt area. Obviously, the serpentine belt was an obvious culprit. I did the water test and the chirping went away, but after changing the belt out, the chirping came back shortly after. And at that point, I was seeing like remnants of rubber, like rubber dust around the alternator bracket and up on the wheel well. So we have some slippage. There's something going on there. Definitely check out the channel for updates in that regard. And yet another issue, and it's not an issue per se, but more of an aesthetic preference, is that this car sits too high. It's one of my gripes about the C5 and the C6 Corvette is that they sit so low, but there's so much wheel gap, particularly in the front. It's a little bit annoying, but fortunately, we're going to be able to fix this problem relatively inexpensively, at least to begin with. I'll definitely cover this process in an upcoming video. Check that out. Speaking of aesthetics, my front lip, or my splitter, my chin spoiler, if you will, is destroyed. This is a little bit more roughed up, but I'm gonna use some 600 grit sandpaper, see if we can smooth it out some, heat this section up a little bit, and maybe we'll do some plastic welding to fix that little splitter there. So I'm gonna pull it off. I'm gonna see if I can repair it on my own before spending the money and purchasing a brand new one. I like to test out my DIY skills before making a purchase, and it may just come down to the fact that we buy a new one anyway, but like I said, I want to pull it off, try my hand out at plastic repair and see what we can do with it. There are just 2 problems left to highlight here. Both of them can be relatively expensive. Well, the first of these final 2 issues is that we have a little bit of a sticky 5th gear. That could mean a couple of things. Now, if you're just cruising down the highway and you go 4th into 5th at a leisurely pace, it's totally fine. It clicks in just fine. It may be a little bit stickier than you'd normally want to feel it, but not a big deal. The issue comes up when you are accelerating maybe half or 3/4 throttle and you're trying to kind of go speedily from 4th into 5th. I don't want to say it grinds, but it does kind of catch like a and it pops in a little bit clickier than you'd want it to be. It doesn't pop out or anything like that, but it's still not as smooth as it should be. Now, this, like I said, could get quite expensive. The car is relatively low miles, between 30 and 40,000 miles, but chances are that the transmission fluid has never been changed. So my hope is that once we change the trans fluid, it'll shift smooth like butter. What I really have my fingers crossed for is that it is not a sign of a failing transmission. Now, although they are top of the line Michelin Pilot Sports, they are old, they are dry and cracked and riddled with shrapnel. The final issue that we are dealing with on the C6 Corvette is tires. One of them, after getting the car home and in the garage, seemed to develop a slow leak. So that accelerated the tire searching process. I've been looking forward to burning these things off the car for weeks, but got home last night late and I did not have an opportunity to do it, unfortunately. But it's kind of inspecting these tires. Looks like the car was driven through a damn construction zone or something. A bunch of different little chunks of metal sticking in it, a couple of different nails. There's one. That's probably why this had a slow leak. The tires are in rough shape too. Really low mile car, so I think for the last couple of years or so, I probably just sat most of the time. I got a little bit of this dry rot stuff going on, so I just couldn't run these tires much longer at all. They're fatties too, 325s in the rear, so they're not going to be cheap to replace. But this car, seriously, with as much torque and power that it makes, is very dangerous with bad tires, especially when they're the rear tires. So tires definitely a huge priority at this point. The question is, which ones do I get? Now, this car definitely passed the initial sniff test, but I did point out some of the surface level issues that I noticed right off the bat to the person I was purchasing it from, which allowed me to negotiate a better deal. So that is definitely key when you're shopping a used vehicle. With that being said though, it is important to give any new to you vehicle a thorough assessment once you get it home and in your own garage. Then make a checklist in order of priority and tackle each one of those things as time and budget allows. That's really going to ensure that you have a nice baseline to begin with. You have a nice, reliable, healthy car to get you from point A to point B, but it will also be healthy enough to handle any of the modifications and upgrades that you make going down the line. In an upcoming video, I'll take on each one of these issues, bringing the C6 Corvette back to the level that it should be. Thank you guys very much for watching the video. I appreciate the continued support up to this point. There's more stuff coming for the channel, so I hope you stick around. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.